Okay. Piper, do we have anybody in the audience?
No, sir. I'm going to start the recording now.
Okay.
We
All
do
right.
have all
Go
of the
ahead.
applicants are on Zoom.
Yeah, I see that now, Commission. Okay, very good. Well, good morning, everybody. This is the regular HARC chair meeting of Friday, December 20th, 9 a.m. at Rebecca Hall. It's a hybrid meeting. Please raise your hand electronically if you're out there and you want to comment. The purpose of HARC, as a reminder, is to preserve, maintain, and enhance the historic character, scale, architectural integrity, and cultural resources of the town of Telluride and the Telluride Historic Landmark. Looks like we have present Piper, Tammy, Darren, Kristen, Erica. Anyone else from staff? No?
No. No.
Okay. Okay. So we'll begin with any public comment on non-agenda items. Non-agenda items, like the lack of snow or something. I don't know. Seeing none, we're going to go ahead to our first public and only public hearing item. This is at 369 East Galena. It's the CA number 3. Consideration of an amendment to the CA 10399 that does not constitute a vested site-specific development plan per Land Use Code 7203B3D3. Legal description is Lot 2, Block 37, Town of Telluride at 369 East Galena. It's in the residential zone district. The owner is 369 East Galena Avenue LLC. Applicant Mike Balzer of Tommy Hunter Architects and staff member Erica Jensen. Erica.
Great, thank you so much. Good morning. So we're here for the review of a CA amendment at 369 East Galena. Staff did not feel comfortable approving this, so it has been elevated to the chair. We're 369 East Galena, the original CA was issued in 2017 with a 3-year CA extension and vested property rights approved in 2020. So this project has been active for quite some time. So the CA amendment includes, exterior modifications, including changes to the materials and the earth berm. Staff has 2 main concerns, which are the gutter element and the Gabion wall. So I'm going to start with condition 2 of approval, which is to revise condition 2 just to say remove the projecting gutters and chains. So in these photos, you can see that there are a projecting gutter and chain element on about 4 places on the house. There's 3 that are very visible on the front and then 1 on the rear corner. And these elements are just architectural elements that were not seen in Telluride. They could be considered ornamental, which is inappropriate per the design guidelines. So staff is recommending that they be completely removed. Condition 1 is to remove the Gabion wall and replace with the approved earth berm. When this project came through HARC, it was presented as a earth berm rock wall mitigation, and it was presented as a wall with a more natural appearance, plantings, and now it has changed to this rather stark Gabion wall, which is not appropriate per the design guidelines. It greatly increases the mass and scale of the structure and the overall development. It doesn't respect the natural hillside, and staff is recommending that this wall be removed and the originally approved Gabion wall be put in place. And you can see in these photos that the wall was supposed to look similar to these renderings with plantings and a much more natural appearance. And if you compare the two, the earth berm is much more compliant with the design guidelines than the Gabion wall. And I'm happy to answer any questions before we hear from the applicant.
Yeah, a couple questions. We have not debriefed, and I'm sorry I wasn't there to walk it, but this photo right here shows this gabion wall
Mhm,
of bundled stone is built
mhm.
and trees are planted.
Trees, maybe the applicant might be able to speak to that better. So a lot of that site is, I'm not sure what the setback is, but there is a town right of way directly adjacent to this site.
All right, but but let me ask you this.
Mhm.
You know, this is, I don't know how many. Well, I can. How many months has this wall been up that the town did not notice, and we're not doing inspection? I mean, you're not there physically, but have we directed anybody to inspect this along the way, or is this at the end now, and now we're in a quandary?
Well, HARC finals only occur when we're asked to go out to to the
Yeah.
site or at the end of a project. So while we try and catch things early, if an applicant doesn't come in and tell us the changes they're making, we don't always see them until they ask for a final.
The trust factor. Okay. And if you could go back to those pictures of the unusual downspouts,
Mhm.
which we're calling ornamental. Um, and you know, in the past, to be consistent, when we've had ornamental, it was because it confused
Mhm.
normally the look between a historic and non-historic house, um, and or just nothing found in tradition. This almost has a mining-esque steel, simple beam look. It's not the chain that bothers you. It's the big long.
See, it's the extension of the gutter,
Yeah.
especially how highly visible it is on the front facade.
Yeah. Okay. Novel look, but that wasn't on the original either. Did they have gutters shown?
Uh, I don't believe anything was like, I think there was an assumption there were going to be gutters, but nothing like this was shown.
Okay. And to me, it's the length of them. I mean, it's, well, okay, we'll get into it with the applicant,
Okay.
and you've described the two issues, so thank you. And if you want to share the screen, Mike, and I'll let you begin.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, can you hear me?
Yes, the
Okay.
screen is starting to share. I hope my internet's okay. Yeah, there we
Can
go.
you see that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to start off, since this project was done back in 2017, our rendering abilities were not like they are now. And this is what we had shown. It is sort of ambiguous, but I don't think that this image is that far off with where we ended up, except that it's green. I think that those are pretty clearly very steep stone stacks or earthen stacks
Well, they're
that
boulders. They're boulders, right? I mean, they're boulders,
that
not.
show
Yeah.
The purpose of the rockfall mitigation wall is to absorb the energy of an incoming rock. So and that needs to be engineered to some extent. Our original narrative had these images, as Erica pointed out. I don't see that is that really that attractive? This galvanized metal. I don't see that that's that far off from where we've ended up.
What galvanized metal? What galvanized
This
metal?
this picture, these baskets.
Yeah.
And this was part of the original narrative that we submitted.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't seem that far off from where we've ended up to me. But and another part of the original report is that it's not when they mention an earth berm, it's not a nice rounded mound of dirt that you might picture. It's this pile of dirt with geofabric, placed. So I think it's better to see a traditional material like stacked stone than to see geofabric as a finished material. If we were in a wetter climate, we probably would already have things growing in that wall. But it's fairly new and hasn't, none of the landscaping is taken off yet. So
Can you go back to
other
the
thing
photo of what's existing? Well, unless you have
This?
other photos you're going to show me.
this one?
Yeah.
And I also just wanted to point out that I don't think that any of the heights of the gabion walls are excessive. These are pretty in line with what we typically do for landscaping.
How
How
old is this wall?
The stone has been up for a couple years. The stacking portions that are in the steel cages, that's been about a year.
Yeah.
And there is going to be screening in front of these electric meters too.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's there yet, but that's sort of a separate issue. And there you can see that there are trees in the right of way. Those were placed with Karen G's we worked with her to get that placed. I think we could put more closer to the wall and soften it, certainly. But that's also a little hard to tell without them flowering. It's hard to see how much they're going to conceal.
The guidelines do not allow us to rely on deciduous coverage of elements, as you know.
Yeah.
But let me start with the basics of why and how wide is this gambrel wall, the basketed wall? How wide is that?
I think it's 3 foot deep.
Okay, but I mean, to me, and I'm trying to imagine it with plantings, but I'm not sure. I don't know how the plantings are going to grow on this, and we're not supposed to rely on it anyway. But why does it have to be 3 foot thick?
Oh, because that's to absorb an incoming rock. So I don't know. It's not very clear, I guess, from any of the documents that you've seen so far. But there's 2 rockfall hazards on this property. One is directly to the north, and that's where we have a rockfall fence that protects the building above. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but the second issue is, and what these gabion walls are doing is incoming rocks coming kind of diagonally down the hill, which is a second path. So they're these walls are designed to deflect any rock that was, coming down this sort of gully and hit and bounce them off.
Yeah, I get it. Well, that's a 1 in a million, but yeah.
Yeah. Mark, if I could
We
just
hope
add
so.
real quick. I was involved in the original HARC approval, and that wall that's represented on the elevations, the architectural elevations, this wall is exactly replacing the earth, fabric walls. And there's a lot of discussion in the HARC meeting about that, because this is a rockfall fence. This is not, like a retaining wall. This isn't anything else. And so what do you do when you have to have rockfall fence on the side of a house? It was the conversation at the time. And so that was the design that was approved by HARC. Absolutely, this should have been approved before it was constructed, no doubt. Apologies for that. That's not good. And that needs to be a conversation, I think, with every contractor that don't do changes that aren't on your building permit plan set. But that aside, if you look at the extent of the wall today, again, rockfall fence versus what's proposed, it's the same extent. And it's aesthetically, what would you like to see here? And I know this is all, kind of discretionary, but I like what Mike Arbany came up with, which is this kind of stepping wall in a gabion basket that's definitely a modern interpretation of a very historic retaining wall type. So as far as fit and design, I think it looks better myself, but I understand that's discretionary. And if you all want more softening of that, again, rockfall fence, that can be added for sure. But just want to provide at least a little bit of that kind of perspective.
Okay.
Mike's done a good job covering the rest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm going to help search. I mean, this isn't really a work session, but look, this is kind of a special one-off case. We don't get many ask for forgiveness later issues. And the contractor should have, I mean, it's his problem, it's not our problem, but not your problem either. But I can't approve it the way it looks, and I can't reply on deciduous. Let's go to the existing photo and see what could happen. I'll ask some questions. Number one, my question is, it would look a lot better, and it seems to me that, okay, that was beautiful. Wherever that was. Yeah. It seems to me it would look a lot better if the secondary wall wasn't there, and if the original stone came out to give it more strength and was thicker. Okay. I think we're back from the Anasazi Indians to
yeah, no,
right.
Keep flipping back and forth.
Okay. So my question is, why couldn't that wall be thickened with another tier? And it wouldn't have to be 3 feet wide like this structurally. I'm pretty sure of that, to protect from wall, and just be, see how the wall on that column underneath the deck towards the front of the photo is, oh my God, it's probably 6 feet deep. Well, why couldn't there be another foot, let's say, added, another of the original wall that's behind this wall, the stone, rather than this?
Oh, to put stone facing on all these, or just some of them?
Well, yeah, well, I'm looking at 3.
Yeah.
And I think this is just way too much mass and scale. I cannot argue with staff on that. I can't allow it. By the way, is that 3 feet also protrusion depth back at the rear on the right side, where it says, it says 34-inch. Well, that's the height, right?
That's the height.
Doesn't look like 3.
It indents into the building. So in other words, if you've got about 6 inches of stone veneer, that's taking away from the depth of the 3 foot of gabion. The gabion goes back behind the face of the stone wall.
Oh, it veneer. Does. It does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
so it does. It steps up and in as it goes up the hill.
All right. And so all 3 of these gabions are 3 feet in depth?
Yeah.
Including the one.
That's what was prescribed. That was what was agreed upon between the geotechnical and structural engineer on what was necessary for absorbing the impact.
Is that a deck underneath the ladder?
No. I mean, this is a planter, right? Mid height of the ladder, that's a planter.
Oh, okay. There's no deck in there. Okay. Behind it. Okay. Yeah, I realize the conservative nature is, I'm a licensed engineer in Colorado also, but not structural, of the conservatism of Mike and some other people, but I just can't imagine it needs to be 3 feet thick. But I think moreover, this just adds to the mass and scale issue, let alone any traditional look. And since I can't rely on deciduous plantings, and of course it would have been nice if you'd planted, maybe you would have planted something or the owner would have, to try to show us how they were so sorry about going ahead without permission.
Mark, can I ask it, does this look more massive than this is part of the original? This was the original approved elevation. It just doesn't have the gabions in front of it. These heights all match the height of what we have now.
Yeah, there's no gabion in front of it, correct, which is what adds to the mass and scale. Plus, it just looks like an afterthought aesthetically in that neighborhood. But so my question is, couldn't that stone, if you could go back to what's built now, I'm trying to do something other than this all needs to come down and be rebuilt solution, even though I guess it's not my problem to think pragmatically. I'm not going to apologize, because I do try to think pragmatically. What
if we,
well, I think that the problem is it's an appendage which accentuates the mass and scale, and I think it's way too thick. I think somehow with that structured stone wall, are you saying, Mike, that there is no stone wall behind all 3 of these sections? Well, that this Gambrian, there's a hole in the stone wall and this protrudes within it?
The gabion, like here, for example,
Yeah,
This is about 6 to 8 inch stone faced on concrete. And then the gabion goes all the way to the concrete, if that makes any sense.
okay, so there is no, it's a hole in the stone wall. And
So really what you're not seeing 3 feet of gabion, you're probably seeing 30 inches because it's insets into the foundation wall.
Okay, and so there is no foundation wall behind it though? In the hole, there's a hole cut out, or is there a solid foundation?
There's like a hole cut out in the stone veneer for the
Okay.
gabion to fit into.
In all 3 sections?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of my questions would be structurally, what if there's already a hole there? If there was just the continuous and have some continuity of stone that protruded out rather than these stacked rocks to give you your structural strength. I mean, it's a raw appendage that accentuates the mass and scale, and of course, aesthetically is not something we would have seen traditionally.
So, Mark, are you talking about stone facing these gabion baskets to make them blend into the stonework of the elevation? But
well,
just
yeah, and
baskets?
I think the other thing is you could put a piece of steel in there or something, and it could protrude out maybe 20 inches, not 36. Or, well, 30, excuse me, it protrudes out 30 inches, and maybe it could protrude out, Mike said, as it's recessed in the and maybe it could protrude out, if you put a piece of steel in here, maybe it could protrude out 15 to 20 inches, and be faced with the homogeneous stone that's all over here. I mean, this just, I mean, of course, you guys are the architects. There's no way I would ever design this. So that's one question I have. Put a piece of steel in it, could you? And could you then reduce the depth of it protruding proud to 15 to 20 inches and cover it with the same stone? That's my first question.
I don't know if you get the same energy absorption with a shallower basket, because that was designed with that depth to be the rock fall protection. So I think the projection for the rock fall fences this way, you'd have to leave them based at that depth that sticks out.
Yeah. I think conservative engineering aside, I think that the initial pass was they wanted them to be 5 feet deep, and we talked them down to 3.
Erica, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I think once we get into the details of changing the wall, you're starting to structurally change it. And at that point, it's probably going to have to come down to make those changes. So putting in an earth berm would be, I just balancing those.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know how an earth berm can be held in place efficiently next to a public right of way. I don't see how that.
And I'm not sure the earth berm would reduce mass and scale somewhat here, but I can't just solely rely on plantings to fix this. But so
Can I add something about that earth berm?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Mike?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, Dave below, say, what do you got?
You may be having computer issues.
Who is trying to speak?
That's
David Belode, our civil
okay.
engineer.
Good. Well, David, try again if you can. We'd love to hear some creativity here.
I'm sorry. There's like a 20-second delay from when I say something and when I hear it.
Well, I hear you now. You're good, David.
He's not going to hear you for 20 seconds.
Oh. Can he call in on the phone? Have him call in this number.
Well, it's difficult. There's like a 20-second delay from when I talk.
Why don't you use the phone? Can you call in on the phone? Would that help, David? It might be better transmission on the phone.
Okay, well, I just wanted to comment on the earth berm.
Go ahead. Or he could email you guys and you can read the comment, Mike, if you want, or Chris. I mean, this is crazy. I either use the phone, or have him email his comments to you and you read them.
Yeah, I think he can just speak if we give him a second and just finish his sentence.
All right. He has the floor. Try when you can, David. No, that's too bad.
Yeah, it's definitely more than 20-second delay.
I mean, why can't he email him, just tell him to give you your comments, or call in on the phone? Why can't he call this phone number?
Yeah, we just got to get him the number.
All right, try that. And sorry to.
No, I appreciate your time this morning and talking about this. So thanks for your patience.
Yeah. Yeah, I think putting him on the phone, we can hear him. Let's give him that call-in number. Huh. Hey, Erica, how wide was that earth berm in the original submittal? Or maybe the applicant can tell us, maybe Mike, you could tell us.
The applicant might be able to tell you so their narrative does state, what was shown on the elevation. So the features are shown on the site plan and grading plan in the HARC plan set, but not shown on the elevations for building design clarity. Earth berm and rockfall fences images are shown below in figure 7. So I think there's a lack of clarity about the earth berm in the original plans. And so they provided clarity of what the earth berm was supposed to look like in the narrative. And that's why I'm really emphasizing these photos, because that's what HARC saw and approved, is this more natural look that blends with the hillside.
Yeah, no, I understand. We could almost just put him on speakerphone.
He's I just sent him the phone number. He should be joining quickly. So
Okay.
And he just called me too. And
hey, just to speed it up, what about go back to the photos of the gutters, these beam like mining-esque beams that protrude out. Mike, is there a way to shorten those up so they didn't? I mean, it is pretty odd that they go out 3 feet. I guess you're trying to get away from the deck, but isn't there a way with the curvature of a downspout?
I think we may be able to shorten them. I mean, I don't have a lot. This is it's an unfortunate thing, because this is something that I pretty sure I talked about with Jonna when I was looking at exterior lighting way back, and we talked about it and she was okay with it. And I never, the project dragged on, and it was, 2 years later until I actually went to get a CA. But that being said, we've had this same detail approved on other projects in town, which is why I didn't think that it was going to be.
Show it to me again. Show it to me again.
Oh, that was Erica's picture, I think. Not mine.
All right.
Hello.
Hi, David. Hey, this is better. We can hear you.
That was really bizarre. This 20-second delay, and I don't know.
You're good. You're all good. Merry Christmas. Go ahead, please. I don't know if you've been hearing the dialogue. I'm looking for some option to try to help you guys help us here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I know that when it was proposed as an earthen berm, and you can see it on the geotech, and it was 8 feet wide, but that extends into the town right away, and so it wasn't going to be allowed. And so the discussion was how to reduce that 8 feet. And I don't know, over the course of however long it took to get redesigned to this gabion that would absorb the energy of an impact. So to your point, it could be faced, because it's just this that would be totally sacrificial, right? We needed the gabion as a sacrificial wall because Albany couldn't get the wall thick enough and didn't want the impact to occur to the structure itself. So all this is a sacrificial wall, whether it's a gabion or gabion with some facing in front, as long as it's just sacrificial and not part of the building itself.
Yeah, well, let's go back to the picture of what's there now. I mean, so that was the problem. We approved this earthen wall, and then you got with Public Works, and they said, no, you can't encroach that far out, right?
Right.
Which is odd because Public Works was involved in the project when it went through HARC, because I
You know
remember.
what? I mean, Public Works has changed hands, but I think that was a mistaken ruling. I have to tell you. I mean,
Yeah,
Well, and Mark, the other thing is, so I think I worked on this initially in 2017 for Tommy, you know, and then it sold, and then Finger made a bunch of changes, and that went through again. And honestly, I never saw the earthen berm. I never saw that graphic, the green graphic picture. That must be really old. But when
it's
changed
from the
hands-
original CA.
yeah.
yeah,
Well, we only-
so
yeah.
when it went through again, I mean, it was always the discussion about MSE wall, and I think maybe that must have been when it transferred ownership or it got resubmitted as a new project.
Okay.
You know, because Steve took out a bunch of stuff.
On this photo right here, it almost looks like, I know it's not, it's almost like it's tiered, which kind of softens the mass and scale, or eases it somewhat. I know it's probably still vertical, but yeah, let's go to the picture of what's there now. So David, oh, go ahead, Mike, go ahead.
I was just going to say, spitballing. I know this isn't a work session, but if we did steel plate up to about halfway across each one of these gabions out in front, say a foot, and filled them with earth and plantings, do you think that might be enough to get them softened and
So
take
you
away
mean-
some of the height?
You mean the gabions go away and it's a piece of steel like a rail?
No, I'm thinking the gabions stay, but we put in a piece of plate steel like
Oh,
this, and put a bunch of planting in the top of it, like make it a planter, an actual planter, a sacrificial planter.
well, yeah, I get it. Well, let me think about that a minute. And of course, it's going to be continued, so you're going to have to show us some.
Yeah.
Yes.
that's.
Yeah.
But
we get
let
that.
me, I just want to look at a couple options, so when you come back, we can pick one.
Yeah. Great.
So that might be one to look at. And it makes it look like a planter. I'm still troubled by the change in material. I mean, and now of course you're going to put steel. Why couldn't that just be faced with the same original stone? It was, I mean, is that somehow lessen the mass? I mean, I don't change a material. I don't think so.
Or like a dry stack instead.
Yeah,
Say
why
use
can't
the
it
same
look-
stone that's there.
Why can't it look homogeneous with the stone that's there? And this looks like a big planter.
Yeah.
But I don't know, is David able to comment on the depth of this being pushed back with a piece of steel inside and or wait a minute, on the corners, and then you have a piece of steel running the length of it? I mean, that's gonna stop at Boulder. I mean, I don't know. You guys will have to do the calculations. I mean, this is designed for a boulder as big as a car coming down this hill at 40 mile an hour.
Yeah, there's been some pretty big ones coming down that way. I saw one that took out the house over there. It was definitely VW size.
Okay, so I think that we're getting down to there could be two possibilities. One, there could be this, make it into a planter look and look at covering half of it with steel, but I don't know that that's really, I mean, that's a solid mass, and it's a not harmonious material. We're just changing again, which sometimes we do that and we think it is effective with, reducing mass and scale. Maybe a piece of steel doesn't look as massive as the same homogeneous stone. But the second option is I'd like to see that reduced again in depth. So I'm going to get ready to make a motion here, but reduced in depth and then change the cladding of the material. And I think that since, unless David's going to comment, I think Mike will just have to tell us if it's structurally, but I cannot approve it like it looks. I got a backup staff on this, and and after the fact, it's, this is not a punishing decision, as somebody might interpret it as. It is just trying to,
No.
and I've done more than I should with talking, since it's not a work session, trying to get to the solution. So I'm gonna try to make a motion. And Erica, unless you have something else to say, and plus I got to hear from the public. No public comment? Okay, Erica, could I see those gutters with the
Yep.
chains on your photo once?
Mhm.
Because I think I have seen something similar around town, but it's the extensive protrusion that makes this, I mean, you could argue it's mining-esque, but not with this. I mean, it's not some rail.
Yeah, I was going to show you jumping around. This is Tommy's house next door, and this is from his approved CA, and that's the detail that
Oh,
there's
sorry.
the protrusion,
started.
there's the chain. Oh, sorry.
Wait a minute, that's Erica's. Okay.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Do you want me to stop sharing to see Mike's?
No, I've got this kind of memorized, but go ahead to the one that Tommy has on his
Oh,
house
yeah.
as a reference.
Can you see that?
Not yet. Okay, I see it now.
Yeah, so this is the extension and this is the chain coming down.
Yeah.
So
All
just
right.
as a
Well,
reference, this is something we got approved before.
okay.
But
Well,
I get where you're saying that what we are showing, what we have on 369 now is, they do stick out farther. So
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. Okay. Erica, did you have something else to say?
Oh, just because something has been approved in the past
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's appropriate, which
No,
you're well aware of.
Mistakes of the past, there's no excuse for making them again. I know. And they know that, but I think there's a way to remedy this possibly, but I'm going to have to see it again. I mean, I can't. Okay. So, all right. Well, there's no public comment, so I've deliberated. And so here we go. Well, I'm going to continue this rather than approve it. So I move, when should it be continued to, Erica? January?
It could be January or February.
Well, no, we go to January.
January.
This
Okay.
is
It
a
would
quick-
be January 17th.
Okay, thank you, Erica. I move to continue the CA amendment for 369 East Galena, Lot 2, Block 37, Town of Telluride, based on the staff memo dated December 20th, 24th, with the following conditions. And I should say, I move to continue to January 17th, 2025. Sorry. Conditions: 1, modify the gabion / secondary wall to reduced depth and review options for partial steel cladding, and partial house stone cladding. Just a minute. While transforming this into a planter per excuse me, or convert this to the earthen berm wall that was originally approved per TH3C, TH10C, TH14B1 and C4, TH19A2. Number 2, revise the projecting gutter and chain to protrude significantly less in length per TH23B1 and 3. This motion is based on evidence testimony provided at a public hearing held on December 20, 2024. No such hearing provided as required by the Telluride Land Use Code. Revised plans incorporating the conditions of approval should be submitted within 60 days of approval, or this approval becomes null and void, and the rest as written. So thank you very much. We'll see you in January. Hope we get to a remedy, and Happy holidays
get-
to you all.
Hope we get more snow.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right.
All right.
Thank you
Happy
all.
holidays. Thank you.
Thanks, staff.
Thanks, Erica.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Mark. Thank you.